Who told you to just pray about it? Because some of us have been mistaken intercession for inactivity. And while we're waiting on God, heaven's waiting on us to move. What if your prayers, although powerful, are incomplete without action? See, for generations, we've been taught that if we just pray hard enough, change will come. Because some of us have been mistaken intercession for inactivity. Good, glad it's working. However, in the kingdom, prayer isn't the end of your assignment, it's the starting line. Kingdom Solutionist understands that prayer moves heaven, but obedience moves the earth. Let me say that again. Kingdom people understand that prayer moves heaven, but obedience moves the earth. In this lesson, we're confronting the passive religion that taught us to outsource responsibility just to God while waiting for miracles to happen. But He's assigned us to build and to work and to do. We're breaking the silence that just says just pray about things. And we're reclaiming the mantle of builders, reformers, and repairers of the breach while we still have time. And this isn't just about working in your own strength. It's about walking in your God-given responsibility and ability. Because prayer without action is only half the obedience. And so today in this lesson, we're going to look at pulling back the veil on one of the most dangerous religious strongholds, the belief that prayer is all we're called to do. And by the end of this teaching, you're going to know the difference between religious passivity and kingdom responsibility. When prayer becomes a delay tactic, because for many of you, prayer has become a delay tactic from you actually working and actually doing something. You, such a big intercessor, you said, I'm always spending my time prayer. But after you pray, you got to get up and go to work. Also, I'm going to show you how to move petitions, how to move from just petitioning God to participating in God and with God in building. So I'm glad you're here with me tonight. If you're just joining us, share this out with somebody. Welcome back, Purpose Family. I'm B.A. Ingram, and in today's Kingdom Solutionist assignment, I'm going to challenge everything that you know about religion that you have been taught when it comes to prayer, responsibility, and your kingdom citizenship, and your faith in action, because it's time to pull back the veil and confront the lies and the errors that have kept so many believers passive and not active. Because there's a difference between waiting on God and waiting with God. Today, we break the taboo that has many believers stuck spiritually obedient, but structurally irrelevant. You are irrelevant in your workplace, in your home, in your community, because you're just praying about it, but you ain't doing anything about it. And there's a key difference between intercession and implementation. Biblical examples of kingdom problem solvers were many in the Bible, including Joseph, including Esther, including David, including Yeshua. After they prayed, they went out and did the work and got the work done, even at the risk of costing them all, and some even their life. We're going to break passive Christianity that's just taught you to just sit on the bench, pray about it, talk to God about it, and don't do nothing about it to change it. We covered taboo truth number one last time. And if you missed that, there's a link down below. You can go back and check that video out. But taboo truth number two that we're going to tackle tonight is prayer is not a substitute for obedience. I'm going to let that sink in. Prayer is not a substitute for obedience, because your religion, your tradition, your denomination said, just pray about it. Your pastor said, just pray about it. Your minister said, just pray about it. Your clergy said, just pray about it. Well, how many of you know God told you to be about it? Because kingdom responsibility says obey, build, lead, plant, act, uproot, pull down, overthrow. Those ain't prayer words. Those are active words. And I know people say, oh, we doing that in the spirit, but you got to go out here and do some things physically. Why they erecting all of their monuments and statues to the enemy? What are we doing to erect things to God? What are we doing to stand in righteousness? What are we doing to build up righteousness? I'm going to look at some biblical examples tonight of some people who had to stand in the midst of their evil generation in righteousness and build what it looked like everything around them was crumbling, when it looked like the nation was lost, when it looked like they were about to lose their life and lose everything. They didn't just pray about the situation. They got up and went to work. They had some things they had to do as a people and as a nation in order to see things moved in earth. Are you with me? First person I want to look at, so I'm going to look briefly at Esther. That's Esther 4:14. Esther 4:14. We all know this. We probably grew up with this passage and with this scripture at some point, if we've been around any length of time. And this is the passage to where, of course, the kingdom was about to come down on them. Hiram had made a decree that he was going to kill all the Jews, wipe everybody out, and all that kind of stuff. And Esther had to make a decision what she was going to do. She had the favor of the king, she had the ear of the king, and she had to make a decision if she was going to go in and talk to the king about the matter. And it says in Esther 4:14, it says, Matt, and this is Malachi, her uncle, talking to her because she didn't want to do this. She wanted to sit on the passive sidelines and just, let it be what it's going to be. But Malachi said, listen, you've come into the kingdom for such a time as this. Now is your time to go and act. This is the whole reason why you're here, why you have this favor, why you've been set in this place, why you've been set in this position, why you have this favor from the king, why you have this ear of the king. He had to tell her, girl, you can sit here, and if you sit here and do nothing, we all gonna perish. But at least if you go in, you may perish, but you may save the rest of us. But I believe that you found such much favor and grace in the sight of the king that he's going to grant you whatever it is. But she was the most beautiful girl in the kingdom at the time, and that's why they selected her to be a part of his harem. And so, and he loved her. He thought she was beautiful, so she could come before him, but she ran a risk that she may lose her life in doing so. I think sometimes believers sit passively by because they realize it's going to cost them something to go out here and do something. You say that again. It's going to cost you something to go out here and do something. It may cost you a job. It may cost you a raise. It may cost you a friendship. It may cost you something to go out here and to obey God and to stand for righteousness. But don't you know you've been called into the kingdom for such a time as this? We're all here for a specific purpose, for a specific reason, for a specific task, for a specific duty. And if we're not doing that, then our kingdom assignment on earth is not accomplished. And we will have to answer to God when we face him, when he asks us, what do we do with it? And he has to say either depart over here to my right with those that are faithful, or depart from me, you work of iniquity. Today's taboo number two that we're confronting is prayer is enough. And I hear this. And I hear this from people saying, well, I'm just praying about it. I'm just praying about it. You talk to them about their situation, their circumstance, what's happening in their life, what's happening. Oh, I'm just praying about it. I'm just praying about it. But God has given you some answers and solutions to do something about it. Prayer isn't enough, even when God has already given you instructions, especially when God has already given you instructions. God has already given you a wisdom. He's already given you a plan. He's already given you a strategy on what you need to do, and yet you're still delaying doing it. The lie that's been perpetrated is that prayer alone is enough. You don't need to do any work. And that has caused so-called Christendom so much because we have prayer meeting after prayer meeting, rally after rally, and things still don't change in communities. Things don't change in households. Things don't change in neighborhood. We see a trickle here, we see a trickle here, but we don't see earth moving as a result of those prayers. And I believe it's because people are not working to move earth. Heaven's already heard. Heaven's already awake. Heaven's already ready. The angels are on guard, on post, ready to go to work. But if we're not out here doing the kingdom work and the kingdom assignment, they just sitting back waiting for something to do. Are you with me? You can't use spiritual language to cover up disobedience. And too many people, I believe, going to have to answer for this because they've been disobedient because they've used spirituality and spiritual things and spiritual language to cover up their disobedience because they've been taught that and trained that and programmed that by preachers and ministers and other people saying, oh, it don't take all that. You ain't got to do all that. Just pray about it. Why? It's still getting worse out here. It's getting more evil out here from the pulpit to the pew. My wife and I was talking about this at brunch today, how things have just really de-escalated and declined because God's people are not doing their assignment in the earth. And we're still praying, asking Jesus to do something. He said it's finished. We're still praying, asking God to do something. He said he's resting. He said, I give you my spirit to go out here and get this work done. He's going to empower you and equip you to go out here and make it happen. But you got to do something, baby. You got to get up off the couch and get up in front of the TV and get out from behind the car and go out here and get to work. Your assignment is tied to your life and your livelihood. And if you're not doing that, you're wasting your life, shortening your life, and you're holding back your livelihood. The kingdom builder's mindset is this. We look at people in scripture They went about doing. The Bible said even about Yeshua, he went about doing good and dispelling all manner of evil, healing all of those who were sick and oppressed of the devil. After he prayed, he went out and did, and then taught his disciples and said, the same things you see me do, you got to do, and you can do. And after I leave here and demonstrate it to you how to do it, I'm not going to leave you without some help in getting it done. I'm going to send back my comforter to help you keep getting it done. He's going to strengthen you and empower you and lead you and guide you into all truth so that you can keep getting it done the way that I showed you. And if you do that, not only the things that I did will you be able to do, you're going to be able to do even greater than I did. Stop praying about what you've been assigned to build, what you've been assigned to change, what you've been assigned to move. Many of you already know what that assignment is about. My wife and I were talking about, she was sharing with me something about spiritual believers, where it's time for believers to become mature. It's time to get off the milk and the pacify and the bottle and mature in this thing and start walking it out in maturity. And man, just go out here and start getting it done. We're still playing games and the world is coming to a close and coming to an end. Stop praying about what you've been assigned to build and go out and do it. Prayer is your starting point, not your stopping point. It's not the place that you stop at. It's the place that you rest at to be refreshed, to be reinvigorated, to get more wisdom, get more instruction, and then go out here and do it, because faith without works is dead. Faith alone and by itself, the Bible said, accomplishes nothing. The blueprint is already in your spirit. Now it's time to move. The blueprint of how to do it and how to get it done is already there. Let's look at James chapter 2. Are you with me? Are you getting anything? James chapter 2 says this. It says, thus by faith itself is unaccompanied by actions is dead. Faith in and of it by itself is dead. But someone will say that you have faith and I have actions. Show me this faith of yours without the actions, and I will show you my faith by my actions. You believe that God is one? Good for you. The demons believe it too. The thought makes them shudder with fear. But foolish fellow, do you want to be shown that such faith apart from actions is barren? Wasn't Abraham Avinu, the father of faith, declared righteous because of his actions when he offered up his son Yishak on the altar? You see that his faith worked with his actions. By the actions, the faith was made complete. And the passage of the Tanakh goes on that was fulfilled, which says Abraham had faith in God, and it was credited to him and to his account as righteousness. He was even called God's friend. You see that a person is declared righteous because of actions. A person is declared righteous because of actions. A person is declared righteous because of actions and not because of faith alone. You got faith. Nobody's doubting that. We all do. But what are you doing with it? Are you going out here every day and working it, acting upon it, being obedient concerning it, doing what's required to be done? Or you just still come back praying about, God, I don't like what's happening on the job. I don't like this, what they're doing. I don't like that, what they're doing. And every day the same old prayer. The Bible said and calls that repetitious prayers. You praying the same old stuff all the time, asking for the same old stuff all the time. That's no better than just praying the model of Jesus' prayer over and over again. That's still repetitious prayer. Praying the same thing, asking for the same thing, praying the same thing, asking for the same thing. That's repetitious prayer too. It ain't just the model in Matthew chapter 5 that was the repetitious prayer. Repetitious prayer is repetitious prayer. You praying the same thing, asking the same thing, asking for the same thing to be done, the same mountain to be moved when God has given you the power and the spirit to go out and move the mountain. Are you with me? My second point is this. We have to discern when waiting becomes disobedient. Because many of you say you're still waiting on God. Why? There's no such thing as waiting on God. God's always moving. God's always progressing. We say that because that sounds good. That sounds real spiritual. That sounds like, hey, we're doing all that we can. We waiting on God to move now, waiting on God to do this thing. Come on now. Let's stop that. We're not waiting on God for anything. Fear often disguises itself as waiting on God because you're afraid to move. You're afraid to act. You're afraid to speak. You're afraid to do. You're afraid to step out. That fear is disguising itself behind you saying you waiting on God. You ain't waiting on him. He's already moved. He's already told us what to do. He's already told us how to do. He's already shown us what to do. So how can we say we still waiting on him? Fear has disguised itself as waiting on God. And Moses was an example of this. And if we look at the scriptures here, it says that Moses was asking God for something continually when God had already given him the answer. God had already told him what to do. God had already given him the assignment. God had already shown him and spoke to him what he needed to do. And yet Moses is praying. God said, and God says to him, why you still praying about it? Why are you still asking me about this thing? Why are you still sitting here when I've already shown you what to do, already given you the plan, already given you help through your brother Aaron, and you still here asking me the same thing? Religion says, pray about it. And the kingdom says, be about it. Because that sounds real good, doesn't it? It sounds real good to just say, yep, I'm praying about it. Why you haven't done this yet, brother? Why you haven't done this yet, sister? Oh, I'm still praying about it. Well, it's been not just weeks and days and months. It's been years. And you mean to tell me God ain't heard you yet? He ain't answered you yet? He ain't told you something yet? Come on. We got to tell the truth and shame the devil. Because we blaming God for stuff that we are guilty of. Because we've let this religious programming stop us from being impactful and empowered in the earth to move the earth. God has already moved in heaven. He's got us down here moving things around on the chessboard in earth on his behalf. But religion people just said, well, just keep on praying about it. Just keep on praying about it. And, God's hearing, God listening, God to come through. Well, he's already heard. He's already come through. He's already done. It's now time for us to get up and do some things about it and with it. In Genesis 41, and I'm going to read Genesis 41 and 43. 41:12 and then 41:33. Share this. Because God specifically says to Moses here, he said, listen, dude, why are you sitting here just asking me about this? Why are you sitting here keep praying about this? God tells Moses, because he was complaining about, man, I can't do this. I don't have the ability to do that. The next thing, Pharaoh ain't listening to me. This ain't happening. God said, listen, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get to moving. I already given you the instruction. I already given you the assignment. I already given you what to do. Get to moving. And it's in your moving. And as you move, that more answers come, more wisdom come, more insight come, more understanding come, more obedience come. Yeah, we say we're sitting back, waiting on God, trusting God. And down there, you read that story in chapter 14 of Exodus. I want to jump down a little bit because down in verse 23, did I say? Did I say 23? Oh no, I'm sorry, I messed up. I'm on Genesis. I'm supposed to be on Exodus. My bad. Somebody didn't correct me. I'm supposed to be on Exodus. There we go. There we go. I was already ahead to myself. I was on Joseph because Joseph excites me. Joseph really excites me. I'm going to get to Joseph in a minute. But in Exodus 14, that's what I believe. And Adonai asked Moses, why are you crying to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift up your staff, reach it out, and your hands cover the sea and divide it in two. The people of Israel will advance into the sea on dry ground. And as for me, I will make Egyptians hard-hearted, and they will march after you, no biggie. Thus, I'll win glory for myself because I'll handle all that after that. He said, but I need you to first just do what I told you to do in the assignment I need to do. See, we're worried about what's happening next. We're worried about what the enemy got going on next. We're worried about the enemy behind us about to pursue. We're worried about that instead of focusing on the assignment that God has given us and what he's told us to do and then going out and doing that and taking care of that. And if we do that part, then he comes with his assigned part and do all the miracles, do all the signs, do all the wonders and make it happen. But we got to do our part. And we got to do the first part first, which is our part. But we wait for God to do his part, our part, the next part, give us some more part. And what are we supposed to do? And that's what Christians have said. Well, man, we got Jesus, and that's enough. And he's doing everything, and we ain't got to do it. He's gonna do it. He's gonna take care of it. Then why did he tell us so much in the word that we supposed to do these things? If he was gonna keep doing it for us, why did he tell us we supposed to be about that business? Are you getting anything tonight? I hope I'm stirring you up. I hope I am getting you motivated to go out here and do some stuff, because listen, time is winding up. Time is short, and it's time for us to be about the Father's business and to work while it is day, while we can still work, while it is still daytime. Because Scripture said night's coming when we won't be able to do this stuff and get this stuff done. And we can't wait till it's nighttime, and then now we're trying to be so busy for the Lord because we know, He's here or close to being here. Now we're trying to hurry up and hustle up and get it all done. And he's seen whether or not we've been faithful. My final point is this. I want you to shift from intercessor to implementer, because every intercessor, every praying person as one, my wife is one. We can't tell you when we get up off our knees, we don't get instruction. We don't get assignment. We do. Because if you're praying right and God is listening, which he always is, and you're doing what you're supposed to do, he gonna give you fresh answers, fresh solutions. But you haven't done that, what you're supposed to do already. He's not giving you more to do on top of what you need to do. What does the scripture say? God won't put more on you than you're capable of bearing. You ain't been capable of bearing what you got. Why would he pile some more on your plate? Why would he pack some more on your plate for you to be more disobedient? He's not trying to help you with disobedience. He's trying to help you be obedient. Shift from just intercessor to implementer. Joseph didn't just dream dreams. Joseph didn't just interpret dreams. Joseph executed. And he executed as God gave him information. And that's why I wanted to go to Genesis 41. I got excited about it. Esther, she didn't just fast and call the nation to pray. She had to eventually go in and confront the system. She had to go in and talk to the king, confront the system of power that be, confront the people who are trying to annihilate her and her people. See, Kingdom Solutionists don't just pray about things. They build, they act, they activate, they release, they confront. They're not afraid to go out and do what they need to do concerning their assignment. Go to Genesis 41. That's why I was earlier and I wanted to go there. I think I got a little ahead of myself and I got anxious because Joseph, we know the story of Joseph. We read the story of Joseph, how he changed the entire kingdom, how he, preserved an entire people and nation when he took his family down to Egypt. And that was the beginning of the children of Israel rebirthing themselves and growing again. After years, they were down there many years in bondage, but God used that as opportunity to grow them into a big, strong, and powerful nation because they had gotten disobedient. They had gotten off the assignment of Abraham. And Joseph had told them, when you go down into Egypt and after I die, he said, don't leave me and my bones in this land. Take me with you because I know at some point God's going to get y'all up out of this stuff because somebody going to raise up and do the assignment. Somebody's going to get obedient and somebody in my family, in my line. I don't know who or when, but I know somebody has because it's always been that way. God's always raised up somebody in the line and in the lineage. So I know he's going to do it again. And when he does, make sure you get my bones and you take me up out of here with me and bring me into the promised land and the promises of God that he promised my father. Because you got to think it was Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Joseph was the son of Jacob, one of the sons of Jacob. And he had a promise on his life. And here's Joseph down here in Egypt at the beginning of all things, at the beginning of the end of one scene and the beginning of another to rebuild the kingdom because the land is about to go through a terrible famine because of his disobedience. And God raises up Joseph. Yes, he had to go through things because as a young man, his mouth was bigger, bigger, bigger than his pants at the moment. But he saw things and he couldn't help himself but tell it and shine it and put it out there. But it cost him some things. He found himself in the pit, in the palace, in the dungeon, just going through all types of things. But it was in the mix of all of that that his gift, his talent, his ability, his strength in God began to come to light. And the butcher and the baker said, man, we met a man down there in the dungeon who told us all our dreams. So Pharaoh, the dream that you having, there's a young man who can tell you what that means and how all that needs to work out. And Joseph, using the wisdom of God, using the spirit of God, he didn't rely on his own strength. He told the Pharaoh, he said, listen, man, he said, dreams and interpretations belong to God. I got to go seek him for the answers. But if he give it to me, I'll come straight away and give it to you, King. No problem. And in Genesis chapter 41, Joseph says this. And Joseph says here, there was a young man, or this is the people talking about Joseph while he's in prison, said, there was a young man, a Hebrew, a servant of the captain of the guard, and we told him our dreams, and he interpreted them for us all. He interpreted each man's dream individually. And it came about as he interpreted to us, I was restored to my office, and he was hanged. So the butcher and the baker here was the ones that was doing the evil stuff here going on. And Joseph interpreted their dreams. And as he did, he said, one of y'all gonna get restored, one of y'all gonna get hanged because you done wrong. And that's what happened here. But the young man that got restored, he goes and tells the Pharaoh, because the Pharaoh's been having a dream up to this point. And in having that dream up to this point, none of his wise people, none of his wise men, none of his, soothsayers and witches and warlocks could interpret what was happening and what was going on. They were trying, but the handwritten had been written on the wall by God, and none of them knew what it meant. And when they told him about this young man, Joseph, he said, listen, go call this cat. Go call this young man up to me. It says here in verse 14 of Genesis 41, then Pharaoh summoned Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon. They shaved him, changed his clothes, and came into Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and there's no one here that can interpret. But I've heard it said about you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. And Joseph answered the Pharaoh and says, it's not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer that will set his mind at ease. And of course, Pharaoh tells him the dream and goes through the dream. Down here, verse 43. I want to get down. You guys can read it on your own time. Verse 33. It said, therefore, Pharaoh shall look for a man both discreet and wise to put in charge of the land of Egypt. Now, this is key because after Joseph tells him the dream and tells him all that God is going to do with the kingdom and how the kingdom is going to have to go down for a minute, but God's going to bring it back up. He says you need somebody in place and in position that knows what God wants and that's going to do that. And Joseph actually putting a plug in for himself right here. By God, he's putting a plug in for himself. He said, Pharaoh, you're going to need a man that's wise, that can handle this affairs, that can take us through this lean time, that can make sure we're going to be covered, that has the wisdom of God. And Pharaoh said, well, listen, Joseph, you that man. You done already told me what the dream meant. You done already spoke on behalf of your God. There's nobody else but you. I believe you're the person for the assignment. Sometime, believer, you got to be willing to speak up for yourself. When they looking around the job and looking around the community saying, well, who can do this? Who can get this done? You can't be afraid to say, listen, I can handle that. I can get that done. Why? Because you've already shown yourself to be wisdom. You've already shown yourself to be wise. I remember when they were looking for people to write the city charter for the city of Cape Coral where we live. And people were saying, B, you always talking about going into government and being in government, being in politics. And I was running. And they said, you need to come and be on this council and be on this committee and help us rewrite this charter and do this thing. And several people approached me. And finally, I was going to city council meetings, getting known and getting my name out there. And finally, I decided to go. And man, it was one of the most wonderful experiences that we had. And it was able to bring changes into our city to have a better city, have a cleaner city, and do some things in it. And I was a little nervous because, like I said, man, you're talking about writing the city charter that's going to govern how people act and laws and responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. It's a big responsibility. And I wasn't quite feeling it at the time, but I believe God wanted me to do it. And it opened up so many doors for me after that point. What am I saying? Sometimes you're holding yourself back because you're afraid to raise your hand and volunteer for something. You're afraid to step up and do something. The boss already knows what's going on. He already knows you're a person of God. He already knows you got the Spirit of God. He already knows you got the wisdom of God. But you're sitting back afraid to step in and move some stuff and do some stuff because I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want to be out there like that. I don't want to be shown. Come on, how many of y'all said that? I know I've said that, fake and phony humility. Come on, that ain't even real. We deep down inside, we all crave a little attention. Come on, we all crave a little spotlight. We all like when our name is called. I'm not talking about being prideful and lifted up, but it makes us all feel good when somebody gives us a little pat on the back and call our name. So let's just stop all that fake and phony this, I don't want to be out there like that. I don't want that. And come on. And yet at the end of the day, you holding up your blessing. You holding up your assignment. Because see, when I needed to get things done, I can get things done now because my name was known down there at City Hall. I didn't have to wait in long lines. I didn't have to go through all the rigmarole other people went through. I was able to go through the front of the line and get things done. They said, oh, this is Commissioner Ingram. Come on in and do whatever you need to do. What do you need? You need this approved. You need that approved. You need this paperwork. See, the Bible says your gift makes room for you and it opens doors for you. That's what it means. It goes before you and open doors for you. And you wonder why some doors are shut. It ain't the devil keeping doors shut. I stopped believing in the devil stopping me and blocking me a long time ago. God said it's your obedience and disobedience that stops and blocks you. The devil just plays upon it. He can't do nothing unless you allow it. He can't do nothing unless you give in to it. He can't do nothing unless you relinquish your power over to him. He wasn't able to do nothing concerning Christ because Christ didn't bow down to none of the stuff he was asking to do. Now, had he bowed down, then the devil would have had a foot in. Are you getting anything? Shift from intercession to implementation. The kingdom solution model that I'm presenting to you, that I want people to start waking up to and walking in, is that these examples, and they're just few. I could go on and on and on for hours with all the examples. Hebrews 11 talks about them all. You can just read Hebrews 11 if you want to. It talks about all the heroes of faith and all the people who did. Some not even receiving the promise, some not even having the promise, but yet they still obeyed. They still did their assignment. They still moved forward with it. Each of these examples show how the strategy God gave us from kingdom follows and gives us spiritual clarity on earth. It gives us the ability and the wisdom we need to operate down here, what we need to do next, how we need to do it, who we need to be working with in getting it done. I want you to take the next few moments in your prayer time to just pause and just ask God. I've been challenging you this every week to just ask him. Don't just pray begging and pleading about stuff, but get specific on what he needs you to do and ask him, say, Lord, what have I been praying about that you've already given me the authority to act on? What am I still praying about, Lord, that you've already given me the authority and the assignment to act on? Refresh my memory if necessary, Lord. Right? Help me get it again. Give it to me afresh and anew so I can get it, but refresh it. Don't be asking for more things if you haven't done the thing you already got. Some of you got to-do lists that's miles long. How long is the list got to be before you start checking stuff off and checking boxes off and getting it done? That's God what you need to be doing. Because he's already given each and every one of us an assignment, a wisdom, a strategy, talents, abilities, gifts, and skills to use and to do. What are we doing with all that? Hebrews 11:1 said, what are we doing with this such so great a salvation that we have been given? The angels are sitting by watching, wondering, what are we going to do with this thing they've been given? Because remember, they searching into this thing. They wonder why God favored man. Why is he so mindful of them? Why he loved them so much? He just created us to work and to worship and to do and to obey. And we have a choice. We have free will. We can do some different things that we want to, but we love him and we're in love with him. So we're here to do his will. But man seemed to act up, cut up, do whatever. This is why Satan came before the Lord when the sons of man came, it says in scripture. And he said, well, why are you here? Why are you here, Isaiah? What you want? He said, man, going to and fro and up and down the earth. I ain't find nobody like Job. But yet I can't get to him. I can't touch him because you got him so hedged in. You got him so protected. He said, oh, you think that's the only reason why Job is serving me? You think that's the only reason why Job is faithful? Okay, I'm going to move the hedge. You can touch all his stuff, but you can't touch his soul. That belongs to me. He's committed that to me. I have it. He's in my hand. You can't pluck him out. But all that material stuff, you can go ahead and touch that and we'll see what happens. And when you come back for the next meeting, we'll make things right. When he showed up the next time, he said, man, that Job, he's a tough cat. He's a tough character because he didn't just come one time before God. He came twice. And then that second time he came, God said, okay, I'm going to let you go a little further. I'm going to let you touch not just his stuff, you can touch his family members. I'm going to just bring them on home with me. But you can touch that too. And let's see what happens. And Job, he still didn't, the Bible said Job never compromised his integrity, which means he never spoke ill against God. He never accused God. He questioned, and in his questioning, even when it got close, and I'm already in Job chapters 40 through 49, you got to read that story. That thing is powerful. Even in his questioning, God gets a little upset with him and said, wait a minute, who are you to even question me, Job? I get it. You're going through a tough time right now. You're going through tough challenge right now. But listen, you weren't there when I was setting the world in motion. You weren't there when I was creating the seas and the skies and the heavens and all the beings that be. He said, well, you weren't there. Did you ever counsel me about this? Did you ever listen? Did you ever give me wisdom on this kind of stuff? So you can't be speaking about stuff you have no wisdom on now. Hold up, buddy. And that's why his friends came to him and tried to say, well, Job, you done something. You done messed up somewhere. Something done happened to where this is coming upon you. This is not just happening to you because, God ain't got nothing else to do. Yeah, but Job, there was a purpose in Job's suffering and in Job's going through. And sometimes we miss the purpose in going through what we're going through because we're so busy murmuring and complaining about it, we can't see the victory while we're in it. Some of you have been murmuring and complaining about where you are in your situation, your circumstances, and you haven't taken any responsibility for yourself and what you have done to contribute to that situation and that circumstance, that hell on earth that you have created. So take some time out and pause throughout the day, throughout your doings, and ask the Lord, what am I still praying about and coming to you regularly and continually about that you've already empowered me to go out here and do something about? I'm ready to go handle that. And be ready to go handle that. Write it down. Write down what he tells you the next step is. Not your next prayer, not your next prayer assignment, not your next prayer point, not the next prayer point you want to send to the prayer team, but write down your next action that you're going to do, how you're going to move, how you're going to act, how you're going to respond, how you're going to put your hands to the plow and not look back. Did you get anything out of this today? I'm going to be going deep these next couple of weeks into some stuff because I got some stuff I'm going to be sharing and blowing the doors off some things here and there because I believe it's time for no more delays. I believe we're living in a season right now to where any and everything is possible for us in God. I believe that the heavens are open above us, that we can receive shower down of all the blessing and provision that we need. But I believe God in heaven is waiting on us to just move and to activate it and to do it, to just stop playing church and religion and Christianity. We was watching something today where my wife was, and I happened to hear it. These people bouncing around and dancing around, celebrating the statue of Mary and worshiping and bowing. I'm like, you know what? That's dead and vain religion, the Bible calls that. No power in that. And these very same people living in a country full of poverty. And yet they want to dance around and celebrate Hail Mary, our Father. Blessed art thou among women. And really, that ain't moved earth. And I believe it's angering heaven because it's giving praise and honor to someone other than the Most High. And he said that's idolatry. And he said an idolater won't be blessed. An idolater shouldn't even be allowed to live. An idolater is cursed. I didn't write it. I didn't say it. I'm just repeating what the word says. Listen, drop me a comment this week that says no more delays. I'm acting on. And tell me what you're acting on that God has told you to go out and act on. I want to hold you accountable. I want to hold you accountable. I'm going to put it in the comments after the video is done so that you can remember it and you can go in and write it in there and put it in there. I'm going to put mine in there too, because I always do that every week. I'm honest and I'm transparent. If there's something that I'm still doing that I shouldn't be doing, I let you know. Because like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm 99.99, but 99 and a half won't do. That's what the old saints used to say. I'm shooting for 100. I'm shooting for 100 every day. And we should always be striving and shooting for 100 to keep it 100 with God and to keep it 100 in our life. Why? Because as long as we're here, we still got work to do. And I believe that this is the downfall of Christianity. They think that they've arrived. They think that they got all the answers. They think they got all the solutions for the world. They think they got all the right Jesus. And it ain't helping y'all. The truth is coming out. The truth is being known. The truth is being shared. It is out there. And it's time for us to what? It said the Spirit will lead and guide us into all truth, but we got to be willing to be led in God and not resist against that truth that we're being shown, not resist against the truth that's being revealed. Because there's been a lot of lies that have been perpetrated in Jesus' name. There's been a lot of lies that's been put on God and said, He said, and He did, and this is, when in fact, contrary to Him. We read more, and we read more, and we read more in depthly, we will see the error of our ways. So I want you to join me here each week live. Share this out with somebody. Tell somebody about it. Invite somebody about it. Say, man, y'all need to come to this because y'all still playing. You need some help. And, I ain't got answers for everybody, but I got answers for some folks. And those that will listen, and as the Bible said, had an ear to hear what the Spirit is saying, we're going to help out. We're going to make sure we can help them walk this walk and not just talk this talk, because it's time out for just talking, and it's time to start walking. It's time to start being obedient to it and getting it done. And if you got any comment, question, you can put it down here, put it in the chat. You can put it in the comment section of the video when we're done. That's right. So if you haven't set your notifications, make sure you set your notifications so that you get the little bell ding and know when I'm on. And you can rush on in. I do send out an email reminder, but not everybody opens it. Not everybody reads it and responds to it. So, but if you got your notification on, you know exactly when I'm showing up and when to pop on in, you know, and share this out with somebody that you know who's stuck in spiritual survival mode. We talked about this in the first week. We talked about spiritual survival. God wants to move us from just surviving to thriving and building. It's time out for just surviving, for just barely scrimping and getting by, while the world and the system of the world seem to lavish themselves up on any and everything at our expense, when God has given to us the power to go out here and to get wealth as well. Join us each week as we break the lies that comfort us, the lies that comfort us into safe Christianity and into corners of our lives to where we feel that we're safe and secure from all harm and all alarm, and nothing's going to bother us or harm us, when in fact the matter is everything around us is attacking us from every angle and every point. If you're wise in the spirit, you realize we're being attacked on every front, and the enemy has unleashed the gates of hell, and soon the beasts of hell are to be released upon the earth. The demons of hell are to be released upon the earth, and they're to walk the earth as men, taking lives, destroying nations, people, and kindreds. And where are we going to be in that time? We can't just still be praying about stuff. We got to be equipped and fortified. And everybody's now talking about boots on the ground. But what kind of boots you talking about? Folk run around here stomping, shaking their tails, talking about boots on the ground with some little cowboy song. But is your military spiritual boots on the ground to where you suited and booted and you ready for battle and you ready for warfare, especially if you get left behind? You ready for that time and that season if you get left behind and you don't go up in the first wave, you don't go up in the first trumpet blast, because there's 7 of them. So you may not go up in the first one, but it's 7 of them. One of them gonna catch you. But are you prepared? I've spent my saved life trying to prepare God's people for what is and what is to come. And I'm praying every day that people will go through the archive and the tapes and the videos and to refresh themselves on so much that I've already preached and taught and delivered. And each day that I say I'm not going to come here and turn on the lights, action, and camera and do it no more, because why? Why should I? God says, well, you still got to be obedient to me. That's why. I ain't never tell you to stop. I didn't tell you to just sit on the sidelines and just watch it happen and not be a watchman on the wall still and warn them about what's happening and what is to come and what's going on. So I will continually be upon my assignment until he calls me home. So I hope you join me each week as we're here, as we break the lies that got us in our comfort and not walking in our calling as we should, and why the idol of ease, talk about that next week, why the idol of ease has paralyzed the purpose of people who call themselves the church. The idol of ease, talk about that. That's my way of introducing some idolatry into this teaching, because we have so much idolatry, but it's that idolatry that has created the ease in Zion for many of church folk. They just want to go to church and jump and shout and celebrate and party and then live, worldly the other 6 days of the week. But that's for next week. I ain't gonna give it all up. All right. Listen, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. I see you, Jazz. Good to see you, dear. I see you, honey. Thank you so much for coming up and show you. I see your daughter. Hey, April came late, but I'm here. Good to see you, dear. Listen, I'm so thankful and grateful for those of you who do show up each week. and are here with me. So I appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. And I pray that the Lord bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you, be gracious unto you, and grant unto you his peace. I pray that the Lord continually watch over you. I pray that his peace will overshadow you, that he continue to walk with you all the days of your life as you walk together with him. I pray that he will keep you healthy and whole, both mind, body, soul, and keep your spirit strengthened and alive, that you will remain awake and in tune with him, that no demon in hell, no false teaching or false doctrine will be able to deceive you or pull you astray. But you would always hear the Lord saying, "This is the way, walk ye in it." I pray that you always have an ear to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying, and that you have a mind and willing heart to obey and to move forward. This is my prayer. Until next time, God bless you. Take care. And we love you guys. And we'll talk to you all real soon. Bye for now.